One, today we'll be having a quick seminar by Andy Zhan about the Boy Scouts of America, followed by a quick Q&A session. The floor is yours, Andy.
All right, hi everyone. So today's is gonna be a very fast talk about the overview of the BSA and just a generalized just the talk to get you guys interested and maybe just bring some basic information to you guys about the BSA, and hopefully you guys will choose to join. And just a quick introduction about me. I'm Andy Zhan. I've been in Troop 170 for around 4 years now, and I'm currently life rank, and I've taken on the position of ASPL from June to December. And I think that the Boy Scouts is just an experience that really changed my life, and it's been so fun. I've learned a lot of things, and I've made a lot more friends. And I just hope that you guys will get the same thing out of the Boy Scouts as I did out of it. All right, so let's get started. So first up, I'm gonna give an introduction of what the Boy Scouts is and what it's about. Basically, it's a summary of what you'll do there. And then next, we're gonna talk about troops and patrols in the Boy Scouts, which is basically where you'll go with your friends to hang out in the troop meetings. And then next, let's talk about the ranks and requirements, which is basically what you need to do to basically ascend the ranks of the Boy Scouts. And then we're gonna go over the fun events that you get to do, and then all the gear that you might need to have in order to go on some campouts and just have a great time. And finally, we're gonna go over the benefits and what you can get out of the Boy Scouts. So first, a quick introduction about the Boy Scouts as a whole. So Boy Scouts of America, or the BSA for short, was established in 1910 by Mr. Robert Baden-Powell. And although the name suggests that it's only for boys, since it's the Boy Scouts of America, girl troops are also established. And it's essentially a place to enjoy the outdoors, make new friends, and to learn new, unique skills that you probably won't learn anywhere else. And to put it very, very simply, it's an organized extracurricular activity where you hang out with friends while learning about new things. And on the right here is a picture of the Boy Scouts logo if you're interested. And next, let's talk about what the BSA's primary focus is on. And that will be that will be the outdoors. And almost every single event are in some way related to the outdoors and going outside. And a bunch of rules, codes, requirements, and merit badges all constitute respect and understanding of the outdoors. And some of these include like the animal science merit badge, mammal studies, and also the outdoor code. So yeah, it puts a lot of emphasis on the outdoors, but what you get out of it is slightly different from that. According to the website itself, quote, the mission of the Boy Scouts of America is to prepare young people to make ethical and moral choices over their lifetimes by instilling them in the values of the Scout Oath and law. So what that basically means is that they're providing you with life skills and hopefully setting you up for the future while you're still young. And then in 2023, there was over 1 million youth scouts in the Boy Scouts. So if you would join this year, hopefully we could expand that number a bit more. All right, next, we're going to go over the troops and patrols, which is basically how the Boy Scouts is divided up and how you'll be able to join it and where you'll be able to make your friends. So troops are the primary makeup of the Boy Scouts as a whole. And instead of scouts reporting to the BSA as a whole, they instead report to their own troops. And to put it in a simple way, just think about the BSA as a whole league, and every single troop is like a team in that league. And if you want to play in the league or just join the league, you have to pick a team. And by joining that specific team, you become a player in that team. And just like how different teams work in different ways, uh, different troops can also have different operating styles, different committees, and different places that they go to for fun. And everything goes as long as the troop complied with BSA regulations. And the picture on the right is a troop photo of my troop, Troop 170. And just as a demonstration of how different troops can work in different ways, the campouts for our troops usually work like this. We drive up to the campsite, and once we finish everything that needs to be set up, we just spend the night just hanging out and chilling. And then, but And then the next day we go on to we go on to do the major thing that was planned. That's usually a hike or maybe just go on a fun trip. And then once we get back, there's usually a 4 hour period of just nothing planned. You can do whatever you want with your friends. And finally, we close it off with a thing called a trash sweep. Basically, everyone walks in a line across the whole campsite and just picks up all the trash there and just go home individually. How were some of my friends' troops, like Mr. Zhan and Mr. Oliver Lin, they work in slightly different ways, such as they would put the trash sweep at the end of every single day to make the trash sweep more consistent, and they'll have less free time, but more organized time to spend time with friends and just other adults. And next, the logical question would be how you even join scouting. And it's actually an extremely simple process. So you just go online and search for a BSA troop plus your home zip code, and it's going to probably return a list of the websites for the different troops. And you can sort them by their addresses and their meeting locations. Once you have decided on a troop that looks good and is close to you, there's usually a contact list on their website. And if you go if you go send them an if you send them an email or just go and phone them in some way, they'll usually arrange for a new person to come over there and just visit their troop and see what it's like. And once you actually decide that you want to go commit to this troop, you can go ask the parent leaders for further information and purchase the necessary supplies that they tell you to. So it's a pretty self-explanatory process, and it's, although on paper it might sound a bit daunting, but in reality it's super easy and simple. And just to dispel any doubt that it'll be hard to find a troop, in 2023, there were over 42,000 troops in the whole USA. So there's a pretty good likelihood and a guarantee that you'll be able to find a troop somewhere that fits your time frame or your addresses. Well, arguably, what I'd say is the most fun part about troops is that although troops are overseen by adults, the specific parts of it are ran by the youth. Specifically, scouts are elected into leadership positions, and they teach other scouts about what they need to learn about and how to manage the troop. So basically, every single meeting and outing is ran by scouts. Basically, you get to pick where you guys want to go. You just go teach the scouts what you want to teach them, and basically, it's just a super fun experience since you get to teach your peers and your peers might get to teach you. Now, of course, parents can still oversee and intervene if necessary, but different youth leadership can run the troop in different ways. So it's not a consistent thing, and it's also another part of what makes it fun. Because whenever a new term of instructors or SPLs comes in, it's like a fresh new experience since you get to play things like how they want to play it. So it just adds some variety through your entire life at Scouts. And the best part about it is that it puts more responsibility and hones leadership to those who do want to take on these positions. And here's going to be a quick rundown of all the positions, all the important positions in the troop, just in case you're interested. All right. So on the left here, we're going to start with the SPL. That stands for Senior Patrol Leader. And essentially, that's the youth leader of the entire troop. And he's responsible for communicating with the parents and organizing all the scout meetings. So basically, like the president. And next is the ASPO, which is the Assistant Senior Patrol Leader. And it's basically just the SPO, but with less work and just help the SPL do more things. And I also get to take over the some troop activities if the SPL can't show up. And next, arguably the most important troop role is the instructor. And basically, he's responsible for creating slideshows and teaching lessons to the younger scouts. So they get to learn things such as the merit badges and the requirements, and yeah. Next is the role of the quartermaster, and he's going to be the resource manager and is in charge of organizing and maintaining the troop equipment, such as the troop tents, the troop campfires, the stoves, and all that. Next is the historian who takes pictures and records what happens in the troop for quote sentimental purposes. And the scribe is the newsman, and he's in charge of knowing all the upcoming activities and campouts, and just makes an announcement at the end of troop meetings so everyone is on the same page about what's happening. Next is the troop guide, and this role is basically like the instructor, but for younger scouts. They serve the same primary function, but just that it's targeted towards the very young scouts who just joined the troop. And next is the OEG, which stands for the Outdoor Ethics Guide, and it ensures the Outdoor Code, which is a set of rules that's basically made to make sure that the outdoors is made clean and safe, and they ensure that the Outdoor Code is met by scouts on the outings. So it's a part of it gives leadership to the person, since they have to boss around people and just make sure that they don't do anything stupid that may mess up the environment. And next is the bugler, which is the musician, and he plays taps, which is like a ceremonial song at the beginning and end of troop ceremonies. And the final three that I say is the most important are the chaplain's aide, who prays at the end of troop meetings and troop ceremonies for religious purposes, and the webmaster, who updates and makes the troop website look nice. And finally, you have the patrol leader and the APL, which is basically the SPL but works within patrols, and is responsible for keeping the patrols and keeping the people in the patrols in line. And the next major question you guys might have is what patrols are, since we have PL and APL, but I never got into them. Well, patrols are basically the subsections of the troops. Essentially, in a troop, they organize all the scouts in a troop into different groups based on their age groups or ranks. Basically, if you're in similar ranks, like if your entire group is like first class or second class, or if you're all 14 or 15 or so, then you guys get to be divided into different patrols. And of course, different patrols may do different things in the campouts or troop activities, depending on what they have done already. And competitions between groups are encouraged. And one of the most fun appeals of the patrols is that each patrol gets to design their own name and flag. And there's virtually no restrictions on what that name can be. So I've seen some pretty insane stuff get out of the ballpark. And here's some example patrols. On the left is actually a very intricate patrol flag for the Dragon Patrol. And in the middle is a patch for the Florida Highway Patrol, if you so want to name your troop that way. And then on the right is a patch for the Assistant Patrol Leader, which you get to put on the sleeve of your troop uniform if you choose to do so. And just saying that almost everything works for patrols, and that really gives room for a lot of creativity for you to work around with your friends and your troop mates to find a patrol name that really fits you guys. And here's a quick organizational chart to keep everything in line. So at the top is the BSA, and next is the district council, which doesn't really do much of a purpose, but just organizes the entire country into different parts. And next is the pyramid committee and the troops are further split into patrols. All right, after we got that chunk out of the way, next let's discuss the ranks and requirements, which is specifically how you level up and just make yourself look cooler in a troop. Let's just decipher the difference between a rank and a requirement. So ranks are the primary sign of how experienced the scout is. It's essentially a fixed system that's recognized by all troops. And as scouts go on new outings, take on leadership positions, and learn new skills, they can get higher and higher ranks. And as they get higher ranks, they usually become more respected, and also get new patches and medals to wear on their troop uniform. And the ultimate goal for a scout is usually the rank of Eagle. But requirements is the standards you must meet to get each rank or merit badge. So essentially, each requirement is different, and you must complete all of them in a sort of a checklist in order to progress. If you miss one, then unfortunately you can't go further, and you have to finish that one before you keep on going on. And here's a quick chart of what each rank does, what each rank is called, and the basic requirements you need to get that rank. So when you just join the BSA, you'll be unranked, but to get the first rank of Scout, you have to memorize basic rules and procedures, such as the Scout Oath and Scout Law. Next is Tenderfoot, and you'll learn about the history of scouting. For second class, you'll learn about the first aid and the outdoors. For first class, it's first aid and emergencies, such as emergency preparedness and drawing up plans to protect your family in an emergency. And next is the position of star, which is you have to take up some leadership positions. Next is life, where you have to grind out a few merit badges. And finally, for the ultimate rank of eagle, you have to grind out a lot more merit badges. And also, you have to finish the eagle project, which is essentially a capstone project that's basically the summit of your entire scouting career and supposed to make an impact on the community that you serve in. And on the right is all the patches that you get if you finish every single rank. And one thing you might realize is that the top left rank, that's the patch for Scout, and the bottom rank, that's for Eagle, they look quite a bit different. And the Eagle one is noticeably a lot more intricate and elaborate. And that's just kind of an incentive for you to keep pushing on to get a cooler patch to put on your scouting uniform. But let's talk about requirements now. Now, requirements for ranks usually cover a variety of subjects up until star, where it becomes more condensed and centralized, and they include things such as nature, emergency prep, and service hours. And some ranks, some requirements might be optional if it's specified. And on the right here is an image of all the requirements that you have to get. And once you get one, the adults can sign it off. So it really is like a checklist and just helps things keep things organized and keep you on track to get Eagle before you're 18. And the next major part is merit badges. And merit badges are essentially small awards that certify a scout's expertise of a certain skill set in a certain subject. And of course, some merit badges are Eagle required, so you have to get them to reach Eagle. And those things are like first aid, emergency prep, cooking, hiking, and yeah. And merit badges can be signed off by a merit badge counselor, and they really teach you a lot about the merit badge, and you can get a lot out of it. And one of the most interesting things I find about merit badges is that, well, they cover an extremely comprehensive list of things you can possibly earn. For example, there's a merit badge called Indian Lore and Mining in Society and Mars Exploration, which is just so obscure that if you're not in scouting, that you never learn about these things. Since you are in scouting, you do get to learn and experience these things, which I'd say is one of the biggest benefits of joining the BSA. And on the right here is a small picture of just a part of the patches that you might get to earn. For example, there's forestry, there's game design, there's insect study, environmental science, engineering. There's basically everything you can think. There's like everything you can think of, and there's bound to be at least one merit badge that sparks your interest. And here's a more high definition picture of some merit badges, like first aid, archery, orienteering, public speaking, and space exploration. And finally, what my friends find to be the most interesting is the things called other awards. So apart from ranks and requirements and merit badges, there are completely optional awards for specific tasks that scouts can earn just to make themselves look more experienced and just look more cool. Now, some awards may come with a patch, but they usually determine seniority and commitment to scouting. And one thing important to note is that none of these other awards are required to get Eagle in any way, but they just make you look cool. And some famous awards are the World Conservation Award, where you have to complete a few merit badges and just help with conservation in your society. The Paul Bunyan Award, which involves teaching another scout the use of axes and knives, and the 50 Miler Award, which is basically to accumulate that amount of miles in a certain time frame as specified by the requirement. So yeah, the most important thing being there's a lot of freedom that you can get in scouting, and there's a whole lot of awards that you can get depending on what you like and what you want to get. And next is probably another, I've said this so many times, but another extremely fun part of scouting. It's the events that you get to go to. So there's three major event types. The first one is campouts, and campouts are troop events where most scouts camp and enjoy a predetermined area. And basically, for this event, scouts are responsible for the majority of planning. And then usually there's like this one central event that's the highlight of the entire trip that almost the entire troop gets to go on. Next is national or international events, and they're annual or biannual ones. And they usually involve troops, uh, and they involve multiple troops who come together to compete for honors and prizes. And some examples are the Camporee, which happened just a few weeks back for my troop, and we actually won second place in the tug of war and third place in, I think, shotgun shooting. So yeah, it covered a whole lot of fun experiences, and you get to just bring more honor to your troop. And finally, there's the patrol outings, and there's smaller patrol events. They usually involves like a day hike or one single unique scenic location. Now, one thing to know is that these patrol outings usually don't span more than a day, but it's really just a time for you to hang out with your friends and just keep them company while you guys go on a short trip and just have fun. And some top events that I've been to was the World Scout Jamboree. It was hosted in Korea just last year. It was super fun. And then in the middle, which is arguably my favorite experience, was rafting. And basically, we went down a bunch of rapids in different rafts, and I had an absolute blast with my friends. Since there's nothing that's better than because while rafting is fun, doing it with your friends is just on another level of adrenaline and dopamine. Like it's the most insane experience that you can think of, and you just crack jokes the whole way, and it was just genuinely the most fun experience I've ever had. And Catalina Island is a better mix of fun, but also learning. For example, me and my friends got to row a canoe from one side of the island to the other, but we also got to learn about marine biology, animal science, and things like kayaking. So yeah, we learned a lot of new skills while having fun and sleeping on the beach. So if you guys want to experience any of these experiences with your scouts, with your friends, then BSA is the way to go. And fifth, let's talk about the gear and equipment you'll need in order to really enjoy these campouts. And this section is specifically for you guys who are kind of already like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go join the BSA. So you guys should pay attention to this part because it just goes over all the necessary supplies you might need to just have a great time. So the key thing to know is that some of these are required while for all troop meetings, while others are only required for special events such as a road trip or a camp out. So troop required gear. There's the uniform, which is basically a yellow fab. It's a yellow fabricated uniform, and it's basically just a place where you can put all your patches and just signify that, oh yeah, you are a part of the Boy Scouts. Next is the Scout Book, which is basically a physical book with large amounts of comprehensive information that's for scouts that just joined. Basically, it covers almost everything you might need to know about the specifics of scouting, but the true reason you need it is to sign off requirements and to log your service hours so you get credit for what you do. Next is a troop shirt, which some troops might require for informal occasions and make it easy to round up people and to basically make it easy to concentrate and round up people of one troop. Since obviously you're not going to be wearing your scout uniform the whole time. And finally, this may sound like it's self-explanatory, but you're gonna need a water bottle since you might want to make it last for a long hike or troop event with physical activities. So it's just a good thing to have. And here are some of the pictures that for the required materials. On the top left is the troop shirt or the troop uniform, and that's a diagram of where all your awards can go. And as you can see, there's plenty of places to put all your awards, and just makes you look very, very cool. And underneath the troop shirt, the troop uniform is an example of a troop shirt, which you get to wear on informal occasions, as I said. And on the right is a standard copy of the scouting of the scout book, and it's pretty well bounded and it's also extremely thick. So if you need anything when you're just starting out, you can refer to the book for all the basic information. All right, next is the gear that you'll need for campouts. And while these gears you might have in your house from like a family trip, we usually want to have a more specialized version that you'll probably need to buy individually. First one we need is a light tent, and we want it to be an extremely compact tent that can fit inside your bag. And the lighter it is, the better since you have to haul it around. And usually a four-person tent would not go since that's way too heavy and bulky. So you usually want to pick one up from REI. That's the department store for almost all scouting gear. And I think a single SL Dome 1, and then there's a picture of it right here, bottom right. It's a tent for one person, and although it might look flimsy, it's more than enough to keep you warm. And any more than this will probably make it too heavy and bulky. And then you'll also need a sleeping bag, which is also a specialized version, which is a down stuff bag. And essentially what this means is that down means that it'll keep you very, very insulated, since obviously you're going to be exposed to the elements on campouts. And a stuff bag basically means that you can just stuff it directly into the bag that holds the sleeping bag, which makes it easy to transport and just nice to use. And over here is a picture, and you can see that the fabric is like a very textured one to keep you warm, and it's also very poofy. But the best thing about it is that it can easily be condensed down to around half of its size because it's in a stuff sack. You also need a light mat, which is basically a thin air mattress that goes underneath your sleeping bag for insulation and comfort from the ground, basically just to make you feel more warm and more comfortable at night. You also want a tent tarp, which is this kind of strengthened fabric that goes underneath your tent and basically to protect the bottom of the tent for sharp rocks or sharp sticks, and just to give yourself another barrier from the ground. And you also want a hiking bag, which is a specialized large volume backpack with room to put everything in. And now one thing to note is that this bag is not like a usual backpack at all. The main difference is that it's made of a waterproof material and has a lots of straps and buckles, and all these are there to maintain maximum weight distribution to make it nice to carry around and to have so many pockets that you can fit everything you might need in a camp out into this one bag. And finally, you'll want a wash kit, which is a small assembled kit of basic toiletries, such as toothpaste, a towel, and a toothbrush to keep yourself hygienic in a camp out. So once you guys have all these materials, then you should be mostly set for a camp out. Now, finally, this is a part where your parents are going to pay attention the most, and that's going to be the benefits of joining scouting. So there's three primary reasons why I'd say you'd want to join. First of all is friends. Of course, although scouting, you have to learn a lot of things. It's still a place of fun. You have to mess around with your friends in new places while enjoying the wildlife and the nature. And as I have explained in the whitewater rafting, it's truly an extremely fun experience that you get to hang out with your friends and make lifelong and just make lifelong bonds. However, you still cannot discount the learning that comes within scouting since you get to learn so many unique things that you would not have learned otherwise. As I have mentioned in the Catalina Island campout, although we did a lot of fun stuff, we still learned so much. We learned how to start a fire, how to use axes and knives properly, marine biology, as I said, kayaking, canoeing, scuba diving for some of our more experienced scouts. And yeah, it's just truly a place where you can hone your skills with your friends, since obviously everything's better with your friends, even when it comes to learning new things. And finally, scouting can introduce you to a multitude of awards that you can earn. And not only do they look good, but they also look great for college apps. And some of these awards include the Eagle Palm, which is beyond Eagle. If you want to get these, it's basically you need to get more merit. You get like 5 additional merit badges. And as I said before, there's the Paul Bunyan Award, the 50-mile award, and the Jamboree Award. And all these awards just make you look so cool, and just give you a direction to pursue in if you do choose to join scouting. I think friends, learning, and awards are more than enough to convince you to join scouting. And these three things have truly built up the pillar of what I consider scouting to be the most fun experience. And finally, here are some pictures that we took on our campouts. On the left is another super fun experience is when we went skiing on Lake Tahoe, and then in the middle is another picture of our rafting trip when we went down I think it was called the Hospital Bend Rapid. It was extremely exhilarating and fun. And on the right is a picture of a hike that we took while in Yosemite, and then just a random picture that me and my friends took. So yeah, thank you guys for being here, and I really want to encourage you guys to join scouting and just give it a shot. And trust me, it's the most fun experience, the most changing experience, and the most learning you'll ever have in an extracurricular activity. So yeah.